Shalom. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Tzav, meaning you shall command, beginning in chapter 6 of Sefer Vayikra, the book of Leviticus. As everybody knows, this world can be a very confusing place, a very desperate place. Sometimes we just feel that our lives are at the mercy of fate and we're assailed by feelings of despair and doubt. It's not always easy to believe in God, let alone to connect with Him. Who is He? What does He want from me? Who am I, for that matter? And what am I doing here? What's the purpose of life? How can I break away from my fears and all the things that hold me back from achieving my fullest potential? These are questions that we all ask. One of the goals of the Holy Temple service is to uproot our preconceived notions about God and repair our own self-doubt so that we can begin to heal ourselves and heal our relationship with the Creator. So open up your heart. In the very beginning of our portion, we learn about the fire on the altar that stays lit all night long. It's a permanent flame, never to be extinguished. And although the remnants of that day's burnt offering are burning on the fire all night, no new offerings are brought at night. So, with the exception of the kindling of the menorah and the priestly and Levitical watches throughout the night, the Holy Temple is basically closed at night. The main activity takes place there in the light of day. This is a very deep idea, that the God of Israel instructs us to draw nearer to Him by the light of day. Just like Moshe's prophecy, which transmitted the knowledge of Torah to the people, it was never at night or in a twilight dream, but lucid, clear, and fully awake. The pagan mindset is focused on a frightening, malignant God of night, a God who is served by man, by man cringing in fear and succumbing to the illusion of night. In many pagan cultures, night was associated with fear, darkness, and the unknown. Rituals performed at night were often aimed at appeasing or warding off malevolent gods associated with night. The Greek goddess Nyx is a night deity and the personification of night. She's a shadowy figure, the mother of all other personified deities like Hypnos, sleep, and Thanatos, death. She's found in the shadows of the world and only ever seen in glimpses. Much about Western culture, too, and its attitudes, likewise focus on illusion and weaponized fear, a culture obsessed with a God of night. But the service in the Holy Temple is not based on fear. It's not about appeasing a God who victimizes man. The Torah mindset is just the opposite. God calls upon us to serve Him by the light of day, openly, no secrets, no hidden rituals, but illuminating with light, knowledge, and dispelling the darkness of ignorance and fear. And above all, thankfulness. So here in the book of Leviticus, we learn that the temple offerings are a divine design, a program whose purpose is to uplift and ennoble the human spirit by addressing man's need to separate that spirit from its having gotten tangled up with the base animal nature inherent within a person. There are different types of offerings whose details are given over here in Parashat Tzav. Although their details vary, the general principle that applies to all the offerings is conveyed by the meaning of the Hebrew word korban, not to be translated as sacrifice, but as a closeness offering. The aim of a korban offering is to strengthen one's connection and feeling of closeness to God. The olah, or burnt offering, completely consumed on the altar, that represents the highest level of spiritual yearning. And then there's the mincha, the meal offering, the chatat, sin, and asham, guilt offerings. Some offerings give a person the opportunity to draw closer to God voluntarily of one's own free will. These are called the shlamim, the peace offerings. These can be brought by one, for example, who is motivated to make a vow or a pledge, or as a voluntary expression of devotion, and also on the festivals. The shlamim offering is unique in that part of it is burnt on the altar, part is given to the kohanim, the priests and their families, and part is eaten by the individual and their guests in a festive meal. Today, I would like to focus on one particular unique type of shlamim, peace offering, that we learn about here in chapter 7 and verse 12 of our Parsha, the Korban Todah, the Thanksgiving offering. This is an offering brought by an individual as an expression of profound thanks to God for some special deliverance a person has experienced. Psalm 107 describes 4 classic examples of those who are obligated to give special thanks for their deliverance from a dangerous situation. Those who sail the sea, one who has passed safely through the wilderness, one who has recovered from illness, and one who was freed from captivity. But the bottom line is that anyone who wishes to express gratitude to God for all the goodness in their life can bring this offering to the Holy Temple. Open up your heart in the deepest way, because Midrash relates that this offering is the most beloved in God's eyes precisely because it's not brought for any other reason than a person feeling, I want to express my thanks. Our thankfulness is what powers the universe. Now, as with any shlamim offering, the Todah offering is brought from the cattle or sheep, and before it's offered, the bringer lays his hands on the animal's head and recites King David's Psalm 100, a song of thanksgiving. But there are several special, unique features about this offering that distinguish it from other peace offerings, which we really need to understand. First of all, in verse 15 of chapter 7, Torah places a time limit on how long one has to consume their portion of the offering. See, the meat of any offering that was brought to the temple altar is sanctified, and generally one who brings a shlamim offering is given the period of all that day, that night, and then the following day within which to consume their portion. And after this, it becomes disqualified. But the time limit prescribed by Torah law for consuming the Korban Todah is different from all other peace offerings. It's much less time. It must be eaten by that night. Why this smaller window with less time allotted than that of others for partaking of the offering? The truth is, the requirement to consume the thanksgiving offering by the end of the day on which it is brought reflects the unique nature and purpose of this offering. Torah's requirement that the offering be consumed by the end of that night symbolizes that the thanksgiving offering, the thanksgiving of the person that he feels is complete, and the individual is now ready to move forward with a full sense of gratitude and commitment. And unlike other shlamim offerings that can be eaten over a longer period, the need for the Korban Todah to be consumed relatively quickly by the end of that day expresses a certain urgency to give over prompt and heartfelt immediate gratitude to God for the blessing or deliverance that was experienced. This urgency conveys the message that gratitude should not be delayed or postponed, but rather acknowledged and celebrated promptly. Also, by consuming the Korban Todah on the same day it's brought, the individual and their guests strengthen their spiritual connection to the act of thanksgiving. This immediate consumption underscores the urgency of acknowledging Hashem's blessings in a timely fashion, and it also deepens the spiritual impact that the offering has. Another unusual feature of the thanksgiving offering, the Korban Todah, is that unlike other peace offerings, Torah calls for it to be brought together with a very large accompanying gift. In verses 12 through 14 of chapter 7, Torah instructs us that along with the thanksgiving offering, one is to bring unleavened loaves mixed with oil, unleavened wafers anointed with oil, and loaves of scalded fine flour mixed with oil. Now, Torah does not specify the exact number of these baked items to be brought, but through the oral tradition, our sages clarify what all these things are, and they determine that all told, 40 loaves are to be brought, baked from the equivalent of today what we would say is 26 kilograms of flour. 4 breads, one of each kind, are given to the Kohanim, and the remainder are to be eaten by the owner and guests, and all to be eaten in one day. So the obvious question is, why so much? Now, each of these categories of baked items serves as a unique expression of gratitude and thanksgiving to Hashem for his kindness and blessings. And on a simple level, bringing such an abundance of loaves certainly expresses the depth of the individual's appreciation for his deliverance. And though it's brought by an individual, this Korban Todah, this thanksgiving offering, has a communal aspect because it's meant to be joyously shared and eaten in a celebratory meal with family and friends and even strangers. But even deeper, in his classic commentary, Ha'emek Davar, the Netziv explains that since the purpose of this offering is to tell over Hashem's kindness and to declare oneself as having been the beneficiary of his undeserved kindness, so many loaves necessitates the owner to invite others to help him finish in time. The offering of this individual becomes a very public thing, and in so doing, the undeserved miracle, what he feels is undeserved in his life, it's publicized. God's name is further sanctified, and others will also be motivated to express their gratitude. And finally, one more unusual feature of the thanksgiving offering is that it includes chametz, leavened bread, among its components, unlike most other offerings in the temple. Of the 40 baked items that are brought together with the offering, 30 are unleavened and 10 are leavened. This is very unusual because, as everybody knows, chametz, dough which rises, represents haughtiness, and thus it's not generally brought in the temple. And here, once again, the reason for this exception lies in the nature and purpose of the Korban Todah itself. As this offering is brought specifically to express gratitude and thanks to Hashem, the specific inclusion of chametz serves to symbolize the fullness and the richness of the individual's gratitude. Chametz represents haughtiness and pride when used inappropriately, but here it's utilized in the context of acknowledging and appreciating the abundance of blessings that we receive from Hashem. By incorporating leaven in the Korban Todah, the individual also acknowledges that even in times of great joy and thanksgiving, when one might be prone to feelings of pride, Hashem's abundant and undeserved goodness helps us to maintain humility and recognize that all blessings ultimately come from Him alone. The intentional inclusion of chametz in the Korban Todah is a lesson in the importance of humility and gratitude in expressing thanks to Hashem. So we see that Torah presents this thanksgiving offering, the Korban Todah, as a profound expression of gratitude and recognition of God's role in our lives. Our sages teach that when someone brings a Todah offering, they're not only expressing thanks for their personal salvation, but also acknowledging the broader context of God's providence and care for all people. The Korban Todah is a model for expressing gratitude in all aspects of life. Midrash teaches that in the future, when the world is rectified, the temple offerings will be discontinued, as they will no longer be relevant since the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, will have been purged from the world. In this future vision of the world, the offerings will cease, all but the thanksgiving offering, which is forever. The Korban Todah will be brought forever because thankfulness is the basis of everything, the foundation of the world and the purpose of creation. Gratitude has a transformative power. By acknowledging and appreciating the good in our lives, we can elevate our entire being. Gratitude opens the channels for receiving even greater blessings from God, as it demonstrates our trust and reliance on Him. By cultivating an attitude of gratitude and acknowledging God's goodness in our lives, we can deepen our relationship with Him and experience greater joy and fulfillment. This is not the God of fear, and this is not the God of night. This is the Creator who holds our lives in His hands and who created us with love. Thankfulness is the foundational principle in our relationship with Hashem. The Baal Shem Tov taught that gratitude should not just be a feeling, but something actionable, something that should be expressed through words and deeds. And indeed, as we've seen, the Korban Todah is a powerful way of expressing gratitude to Hashem for His constant kindness and benevolence towards every one of us. But open up your heart deeper than ever before in your whole life. As of this recording, the temple has still not yet been rebuilt. We're not able yet to bring our Thanksgiving offering to the altar on Mount Moriah, not just yet. But by acknowledging and appreciating the goodness that Hashem bestows upon us, we can deepen our connection to Him and cultivate a sense of humility and awe in His presence. And there's a special blessing to be recited by a person who has experienced a dangerous situation, has been saved from harm. The blessing is recited to thank God for His kindness and protection. And like the Korban Todah, the Thanksgiving offering, it's recited publicly to let everyone know of the miracle. And the blessing is, "Blessed are you, Hashem our God, King of the universe, who bestows good things upon the undeserving and has bestowed upon me every goodness." Our rabbis teach that the power of gratitude is so great, it can transform our lives and the world around us. Thankfulness is such a fundamental aspect of our spiritual growth. And it's important for us also to find reasons to be thankful, even in challenging circumstances. True gratitude is not dependent on our external circumstances, but rather on our inner perspective and our attitude towards life. By expressing thanks for all that we have, we open the divine conduit to bring even more blessings and abundance into our lives. When we thank God by reciting a blessing before partaking of food, or when enjoying the beauty of nature, or when experiencing other everyday pleasures, we're not only thanking God, but we are also cultivating a sense of gratitude and awareness of Hashem's presence in our lives. And once again, the holy Baal Shem Tov taught that every created thing, from the smallest blade of grass to the largest mountain, is infused with divine energy and purpose. By reciting blessings over the various aspects of creation, we acknowledge Hashem as the ultimate source of all and express our gratitude for His abundant goodness. So we try to recite blessings with intention and mindfulness, truly appreciating the significance of each blessing and the gift it represents. By making these blessings with sincerity and focus, we can elevate the physical world and draw down spiritual blessings into our own lives. By focusing on the good and expressing gratitude for even the smallest things, we can bring more light and positivity into the world. Reciting blessings also has transformative power. It's a practice that can bring more awareness of Hashem into our daily lives and help us cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude and connection to Him. In essence, the practice of making blessings over everything in this world serves as a practical way to integrate the concept of thankfulness into our daily routine. By acknowledging Hashem's presence in even the smallest details of our lives and expressing gratitude through blessings, we can elevate our mundane activities and infuse them with holiness and meaning. Thank you for watching this week's Jerusalem Lights Torah portion. Jerusalem Lights is a non-profit educational organization supported by the generosity of our viewers. Please help us continue our mission of sharing Torah for everyone. Shabbat Shalom.